Welcome to A&B Horror Movies. I'm Aaron, and I'm very excited to be joined today by Matt Schmidt. Welcome, Matt.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Aaron.
Oh, you're so welcome. I can't wait to chat with you today about your new film, Mr. Sandman. I've watched it twice now. It's terrifying, creepy. I think you have done an amazing job with this film, and it deserves to be seen.
Oh, thank you. I mean, listen, if I scared you, then I did my job.
Yes. Oh, yeah. And for those watching, and if you haven't seen Mr. Sandman, watch it as soon as you can and with the lights out. It's very good.
There is nothing more comforting to a child than a mother's love. There is nothing more frightening to a child than the dark. It is not the dark itself, but rather what's in the dark that scares them.
It comes in the night just to make sure that all little girls and boys are asleep in their bed.
So let's see, before we get into any questions, you are a writer, a director, a producer, an editor, a cinematographer. You wear many hats. I probably left some off there, but I think I covered the major ones. Correct me if I'm wrong. You also founded Acres Films, so congratulations on that. You wrote
Thank
and directed Tales of Found Footage and Happy Birthday, Hannah. But let's focus on Mr. Sandman, which is your newest project. So why don't we jump right into it? How did Mr. Sandman come about? How did you get the idea, and how did you make this very creepy film?
Mr. Sandman came about out of the idea. It was originally intended to be like a micro short.
Mm.
For those that don't know what a micro short might be, it'd be something you might find on YouTube, which would only be like 2 or 3 minutes long. Something similar to Lights Out would probably be one of the more famous examples
Oh
of a
yeah,
micro
okay.
short.
Yep.
Um, so it was intended to be that because it kind of spawned during the pandemic, and I was like, well, what can I do at home with minimal cast with
Mhm.
a very simple idea? So it was intended to be that, but as I started writing it out, it started, and anybody who's written anything knows that it kind of takes on a life of its own and says,
Sure.
I don't want to end here after 2 minutes. There's more story to tell. So it kept expanding and it turned into, a 36-minute story. Um,
Mhm.
but I was like, okay, it's like, well, what's great about Lights Out? Well, it plays on the fear of the dark, that very primal fear of the dark. So I'm like, okay, well, I want to play in that playground too, because the fear of the dark is so universal. And it doesn't matter, especially a childhood fear of the dark. And it doesn't matter what gender you are, what culture you come from, your background. Everybody has been a kid at some point and they can
Mhm.
relate to that fear of the dark. So I was like, okay, so now I have my baseline, the fear of the dark, but I don't want a kid just running around being scared of the dark. I want a legitimate threat to be in that dark. So at first I
Yes.
thought, okay, what kind of monster can I put in there or something? And then it just hit me, and I'm like, oh, I'm like, Mr. Sandman. I'm like, everybody's heard that tale. Everybody knows. I'm like, there you
Mhm.
go. That's easy. So it basically, that was like those were the origins of the film.
And it's so effective. I think you captured the frightening aspects of Mr. Sandman so well. And so, for those who have not seen it or are not familiar with your film, it's basically about a little girl who doesn't want to go to bed and perhaps faces some of the nightmares that we probably have all faced at one time, a few times in our lives, especially as children. And I think that carries through into adulthood, sort of like what you were speaking to with the nightmares and the fears that children have. Um, I do want to talk a little bit about the casting process. So you mentioned the pandemic, how you filmed this at home for the most part, and your daughter, I understand, is in this as the lead. What was the casting process like, or did she have a choice? I kind of joke,
Um,
but go
yeah,
ahead.
well, she's into acting. She loves
Okay,
it. She does
she
a
did
lot
a
of school
fantastic
plays.
job.
Oh,
Mhm.
thank you. I'll definitely if she wasn't at play practice right now, I'd bring her on in for a second. But she is at a
Oh, that'd
play
be
practice
cool.
at the moment. But
Okay,
she yeah, she loves acting. She loves doing it. So it wasn't a hard sell with her at all. And I knew that she had enough in her that I could get what I needed out of her for this part.
hmm
As far as the rest of the cast goes, it they kind of came together as the pandemic was tailing off. The
okay,
grandma and the mom are not related to me. They are separate actresses. Um, and it just it yeah it just it the grandma, when we auditioned her, um the monologue that you see in the film was the audition, that they had to
hmm
read that, and she just nailed it. So I was like,
yes.
yeah, there's my creepy grandma, that's her. So
Yes,
I knew she was going to be effective, and she was going to be the one. And it happens to be that's also
perfect choice.
my
Mhm.
favorite scene in the movie is her monologue too.
Yes, it's so it's scary and odd, and I don't know, it just works so well. So she was perfectly cast, and I love that moment in the film too. I want to ask a little bit about the sound and the music because it plays a major role. Um, I guess my question is, what was the post production like, adding in all of the music and the sounds that make it even more effective and perhaps scarier?
Well, I knew that there were two things.
Hmm
I wanted it to be I wanted it to have that. I guess the word is quiet, because at night in your house and when it's dark, it's quiet. So I wanted it to be quiet. I didn't want the music to overwhelm the scene where it was
Yes.
like this big, rousing score. I wanted it to be
hmm
more quiet based. And I'm like, okay, well, what's quiet based? Organic sounds are quiet based. So a
Right.
lot of it that sounds like music, with the exception of the pieces that actually are music, such as Dance Macabre and Swan Lake, which are actually legitimate, music
Of
pieces.
course. Yes. hmm
Without, other than that, 90% of it is actually sound effects and not music, but it comes
Oh, okay.
across in a thematic way. And I there was a film, one of my absolute favorite films, and in my humble opinion, the most underrated horror movie ever to be made,
Well, I can't
Exorcist.
wait.
Exorcist 3
Yes, I love
um,
that film. Hmm
did not use a soundtrack. It used only sound effects. So it's a
Ah,
very organic way to evoke emotions and reactions out of people. So I love that idea for this. So between the fact that I wanted to base it on a quiet setting and also use
mhm.
organic sounds inspired by Exorcist 3, I thought that was the perfect combo to bring about this. Like if you're making like a superhero film, you want that rousing score. You're not going to get away with just
Yes.
sound effects. But with something like this, I thought organically quiet sounds and subtle sounds, with the exception of the jump scare parts,
Of course.
I think played in such a nice, natural way.
Yeah, agreed. And I said music. I guess I should have said sound effects, but it was very, very well done. And I noticed it even more the second time through, how you did such a nice job with complementing what you see in the film with the sounds and the use of the real music, like you mentioned. I have to ask, were there any or are there any actual events from your life, maybe from your childhood, that inspired this film?
Oh, absolutely. I definitely dug into my childhood fears. When I was
Yeah.
actually, when I was coming up with the concept, it was one of the few things I did like ask like people I know, people I didn't know, also just be like, hey, did you ever fall asleep in the middle of the night, like, and you had that long, terrifying journey back to your bedroom? everybody said yes, 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 absolutely.
Mhm.
So there was that, along with the fact that when I was a kid, I used to sleepwalk.
Oh, okay.
And I thought about adding that in, but I felt it might have like slowed down the pace a little bit. But I used to end
Mm.
up on the inside of the front door, and I would wake up there, and I'd be, and there was this long hallway to my front door when I was a kid, and I would
Oh
wake
my
up
gosh,
there, and I was terrified. And I'll tell you, if you would put me on the witness
that's
stand,
scary. Yeah.
if you under oath
Mhm.
at that age that I used to do it, I would have swore to you that something was coming at me. So that, and then I would scream, and then my mother would come and scoop me up and save me from,
Oh my gosh, that's horrifying. Did
my
you ever
nightmare.
get outside and wake up outside in the
I never
dark?
got outside, thankfully, but
Okay,
I got
okay.
all the way to the door, would wake up, and I swear I would see something coming down the hallway at me, and I was like trapped up against the door. And but then I would just scream and, I guess, wake up, if you will, and my mother would come get me and put me back in bed. But
Oh my
so
gosh.
between that and the fact that to this day I cannot sleep, no matter what room it is, with an open door. The door has to be closed, because I will look
Mhm,
into that open space
mhm,
and I will see things.
mhm.
And it
Yikes.
my mind will play tricks on me. So I just knew that this was a fear that most people shared. And if you can hit on a theme that most people
Mhm.
can relate to, I think it makes for a more effective film.
Absolutely. And that's a fantastic answer. And speaking of micro shorts, like you mentioned in the beginning, I think there's an idea for one right there, a sleepwalking short, because I could visualize what you were describing, and I think that's terrifying. In fact, to the point where I don't even know what I'm going to ask you next. Um, so that was a fantastic answer. Um, let's see. What was the biggest challenge with making Mr. Sandman? If you had to pick just one challenge.
It's unfortunately a boring answer, but it's a no brainer. Scheduling.
Mm,
Um, Scheduling was the hardest part. We filmed everything at night, so now you're
okay.
talking.
That's a challenge in itself, right?
Yeah, you're
Mm,
talking everything. So now you have a household with two full-time working parents, two
yes.
full-time students, plus two athlete students that have sports afterwards.
Oh my gosh.
And so now you're trying to fit in, and that just doesn't happen only on the weekdays. The weekends are filled up with. So, for instance,
Oh, yeah.
Haley, the one that was in the film, is a competitive swimmer. So her time, a lot of her time is taking up. So we only had these small chunks of a few hours at a time to
Hmm.
squeeze in filming, because on the weeknights we were cut off by basically 9, maybe 10 if I pushed it, because it was a school night. And on the
Yeah.
weekends, maybe we could push that to 11 or 12 before she started to just pass out because she was exhausted from the day. So,
Oh, of
and then
course. Wow.
when you hit daylight savings time, where you have 1 hour less of darkness,
Hmm.
it becomes that much more challenging to film. So finding time to film within the household was extremely difficult.
Yeah, I can see. Um, but you did it, right? You
Yeah.
powered through, persevered, and I think it was all worth it in the end. One other thing I wanted to ask about Mr. Sandman is that there are a lot of scary close-ups and really intense sort of edits, and the way it all comes together in a sequential manner works so well. Um, I guess this is a twofold question. How much pre-planning went into Mr. Sandman? Did you do storyboards? Did you have the entire film sort of already mapped out in your head, maybe? And then what was the post-production like, piecing everything together?
Yeah, everything was planned out. For
Okay.
sure. Everything was meticulously planned out, as a matter of fact.
Hmm.
This was my first two films were actually found footage style. So
Okay.
this was my first cinematic style. film.
Yes.
And with that being the case, it was the first time not only did I write a screenplay, but I wrote a shot list. So I followed that shot list to a T, and it was very, very much planned out, and in some ways it's almost building upon the scheduling problem, because now if you do found footage, you can kind of let the camera roll for 5 minutes, up to maybe 5 minutes sometimes, and get 5 minutes of usable footage in one shot. Whereas with cinematic, if you watch any movie, doesn't matter what genre, within 60 seconds, you have about a dozen shots. Yes. So now in cinematic, you have to set up each and every one of those shots to, lighting and multiple takes and what have you. And I had to plan it out. Otherwise it would have been a disaster. There was no way I could have gotten away with not doing a shot list. I can't draw, so there was no storyboards.
No storyboards, but a shot list, yeah, sure.
But it was absolutely a shot list. And I think there is roughly, give or take, 250 shots in the movie.
Okay, so, wow.
Yeah.
Well, it paid off. There's one scene where she's on the stairs and she has to run back down the stairs, and it just, the way you edited it together was just fantastic. I love that moment in the film.
Oh, and as far as
how about the post-production? Yeah,
right,
the editing,
the second half of the question.
If you had to say, like, it's 36 minutes, right? How many hours do you think went in to get that final product?
I'm not sure about the exact total hours, but
okay.
I can say that it was long enough that it's so funny because you hear about like actors and directors and stuff that don't want to watch their own material. I can kind of understand why, because after you yourself have watched it 1,000 times, going over every fine little detail, you get so tired of it. So there were a lot of hours because I kept going back over it, trying to, fine tune every little thing. The sound effects, like we talked about earlier, you're sitting there with headphones on, you're like, okay, which sound effect goes with what, and searching for sound effects and stuff like that. But that to me was a lot less difficult than actually filming. Filming was still much more difficult than post-production. Okay. I kind of enjoyed post-production because it's like, now I don't have to worry about anybody else's schedule. My free time, I can do it, and I don't have to schedule anyone, call anyone. I don't have to tell the rest of the house to be quiet while we're shooting. Nothing. It's just me with my headphones. So I enjoyed
it was like an escape, right? You were like, oh, this is my time now.
Exactly. I enjoy the post-production because it's like, now you have you have all your toys. Now you get to play with them. So you have all the material. You get to play with it now. So even though it was a long process, I still enjoyed it.
So with it being a long process, one thing that just occurred to me, did you actually have anxiety dreams or nightmares even about your film? Kind of a fun question. I don't know. It just popped in my head.
I not off the top of my head, only that I think I had more real life anxiety because it took forever. We hit a bunch of delays. Life gets in the way. Haley broke her arm at one point.
Oh gosh.
Not during the film, not from filming. It was an unrelated trampoline accident, but it still slowed us down, a good 6 months. So things come up, delays happen, life gets in the way where there's 4 weekends in a row, you just can't get anything done. So filming in the house, something I'll never do again, I'll tell you that much. But filming in the house was really tough. So I think a lot of my anxiety and stress came from the reality of it, as opposed to any stress related nightmares of it.
Okay. Okay, fair enough. That's a good answer. And I hear that, or I heard that Mackenzie Newberry had a contact lens scare on
Uh
set. Do you want to
yeah,
say a little bit about that? So for
yeah.
those watching who don't know what I'm talking about.
That was the night where I thought the film was over.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah, I had to
So
bring it up.
yep, no, yeah, we were sitting there for like, without giving away too much, it was a scene which involved contact lenses. And
Yes.
she got one in instantly. And it was hard for her to help too much because her hands were covered in makeup and her face was covered in makeup. So she couldn't do too much adjusting, but one went in like a breeze. And for whatever reason, the second one just was not cooperating. So now you have a contact lens that's not cooperating, her frustration building, my frustration building. So we're sitting there for over an hour in the bathroom trying to get it to land, trying to get it to sit right. And finally, it goes in, but it slips up above her eyelid and
Oh
sits at the
gosh.
top of her eye.
Oh wow.
Well, I'll tell you, her contact lens may have slipped, but it was my heart that actually slipped into my throat. And I went,
Oh
oh
yeah, I can
my
imagine. Wow.
God. I'm like, oh crap. My brain works in this weird, like rapid pace way where it's like, I didn't even think about the situation at hand. I started thinking 10 steps ahead. I'm like, well, okay, I'm driving her to the emergency room. Film's over. She's going to sue me. I'm done. So I'm like, that's it. That's the end of that.
Oh
So
man.
she starts like crying, she starts getting upset, and then all of a sudden, and I'm like panicking. I'm like, oh crap. I'm like getting ready to like grab my keys, grab my wallet, drive her to the ER. And all of a sudden she blinks and it falls perfectly into place.
Mm.
And I'm like, and like we call her Ken's. That was her nickname, Ken's. I'm like, Ken's, it's in. I'm like, don't move. I'm like, she's like, it's in. I'm like, it's in. I'm like, are you okay? She's like, I think so. Yeah, I think I'm all right. And I'm like, do you think we can get the shot? And I'm like, I swear I'll never
Well,
ask you again. Let's get the shot. Let's get out of the way. And she's like, okay, let's go. So we went, and she was such a
that's
trooper
amazing.
about it.
Mhm.
I'm just so glad we can laugh about it now.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
oh my
I
God,
was going to mention that. Yes, it sounds like it was a very terrifying moment.
oh yeah.
I'm glad it all worked out. The stars aligned, and you can laugh about it now.
Well, it's just so funny because people always think people who don't really know, when you work on a horror set, they think it's like, oh, were you guys scared when this happened? I said, no, actually, most horror sets are comical, if anything else. You know, we're all
Yes.
laughing and joking, but this was a true moment of dread and terror. So I was genuinely afraid. So
Well,
there you go.
I'm glad it all worked out for the best.
Oh,
So yeah,
even
there you have
because
it. So you mentioned that you've done found footage and now you've done a cinematic film format. Is there another genre or subgenre you'd like to try out next? Like, what is next for you? Can you speak to what your next project might be?
that's been a topic of discussion recently between me and my producing partner, Brandon Berkeley. Um,
Hmm.
we've been discussing like what's next. And we've come up with, I think there are four possible scenarios on the horizon. Three
Very
of
exciting.
them,
Mhm.
or I'll put it this way, two of them are more traditional straight horror. One's a horror comedy, and then one of them is actually a straight comedy with no horror attached to it whatsoever.
Oh, so something
Um,
completely different.
something
Excellent.
completely different. So it's um, because we are a small independent company. I'm going to try to look into some funding and Indiegogo and maybe some film grants and stuff like that, because some of them would require a
Hmm.
little more funding than what's readily available to me. But if not, we also have the comedy, which I think can be pulled off without any additional funding. So that's also a
Excellent.
possibility. So those are the I it's not so much that I have to keep them a secret. It's just that they're all in concept phase at the moment. So it's not
Sure.
something I have a lot of detail to offer you at the moment.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I still think it's very exciting. Keep me updated on your future projects, and I hope they all pan out. You could always go back to found footage too,
That's
right? That's
true.
always
And that's
that's
been
always an
actually, you
option.
know what? Sorry, 5 topics, and that's been discussed too of returning to found footage.
And a micro short, you can call it sleepwalking or sleepwalker, something like that.
Good
Um,
idea.
so,
Good. I like it. I like
so
it.
yeah, I think it'd be fantastic. So I do want to get into this or that, but before we do, what is your favorite horror movie if you could only choose one?
It's somewhat of a debate in my own head because my favorite movie of all time is Jaws, and I don't care what anybody says, that is a horror movie.
Mhm.
Very Hitchcockian. It's very much a horror movie.
It's my
Um,
co-host's favorite movie as well. So you're in good
but
company. He couldn't be here today, but go ahead.
if it comes to pure horror without debate of whether it's a horror or a summer blockbuster, it would be The Exorcist.
Mm, fantastic film.
Yeah.
Did you like the new one that just came out last year?
I
Believer.
Believer. Yep.
Mhm.
I was me myself. I was disappointed.
Mm,
I was
yeah,
disappointed.
yeah. I guess
You
we'll
know, I
see what's to come next, right? With that franchise, it's
yeah, I believe oh it's Mike Flanagan's taking over. I believe
yes. So
he
that's promising. But
he's taking over the new one. So I really did like his. I really loved Doctor Sleep. I was very pleasantly
mhm.
surprised with Doctor Sleep. As Shining is also one of my favorites. I was very surprised that that was a very effective
Yes.
sequel.
Oh, very talented, right?
Yeah.
Hush, and he's done a number of incredible
Hush
series as well.
Hush was
Um,
excellent. What a great concept for Hush. I was so
yes.
impressed with that
Oh, it's so
concept.
good. And we just got a 4K copy later last year. But anyway, we digress. Excellent choice there. So let's do this or that. So this is usually kind of fun. There's no
Before
right or
we do
wrong
that, can I
answer.
add one thing? Can I ask
Yeah,
one thing?
please do. Yes, go ahead.
I like to ask this of any show I've been on because I like hearing the different answers and why. So,
Okay,
real
cool.
quick,
Yeah.
what was your favorite part of Mr. Sandman and why?
Oh gosh, that's hard. I can think of there's so many moments I can think of. Well, I love the stairs. Okay, well, here's one thing I haven't talked about. I love the sort of bookend style. I love that the
Okay.
beginning, what you see, because the beginning is the hook is amazing. I was hooked the first time I saw it, even more so the second time. And then you sort of come full circle, or you do come full circle in the end. And I think that was immensely effective and really sort of brings it home in the end. So that would probably be my favorite
Okay.
aspect. But that's tough. I actually loved so much about it. The grandmother you mentioned, the stairs, the scenes in her bedroom under the sheets, and the what do you call it? The music box that keeps turning on. The I don't want to give anything away. How's
No,
that? How's that for an answer?
I got you. No,
Good,
that's
good.
fine. You're although people have like alluded to the bookend as you put it, you're the first person to say it's might be their favorite part. So
And I was very careful not to give anything away. So for those who haven't seen it, but yeah, I think that's what I would go with. But I would also say all of the above.
okay, okay, great.
Yes, yes. All right, let's do that, this or that. Like I said, there's no right or wrong answer. Try to have fun with it. The first one is lost in the desert or lost in the jungle.
I'll go with the jungle.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I
You,
guess in the jungle you can find water and things to eat.
I've never been a fan of the desert. I'm
Hmm.
not a desert person. I'm also more. I like humidity over dry heat.
Yes.
And so I just there's something about the desert that doesn't yeah, the jungle, I know I'd have ample water because it's probably a rainforest type thing, so it'd probably be
Yeah,
raining every
exactly.
couple hours. um Yeah,
As
there's
long as there
danger,
aren't
but
any cannibals. Go
yep,
ahead.
yeah. Which, oh my God, I just saw Cannibal Holocaust for the first time a month ago, and ooh,
Oh
wow,
boy. Wow.
wow,
Crazy, right? And it's so
wow.
ahead of its time. Because people say like the Blair Witch is the first found footage, but it's not. Cannibal
No, that
Holocaust did
was,
it
and it was
20 plus
so.
years before.
That's a movie that was so effective that I was like, wow, I don't think I could ever watch this again. It was that effective.
And I have it on 4K. Of course, I can't see it. It's way over there. I can't reach it. My ABC movies are right here. Okay, let's move on then. The Gate or the Monster Squad?
Oh, that's interesting. I'm gonna go with Monster Squad just
Mhm.
because I like that mix of 80s adventure film with just like fun horror. I like that. I like the
Mhm.
way they mixed it more than the Gate. I think the Gate was more of a straight horror.
Yes,
It, the Monster
the
Squad was like
remains and
it was like the Goonies meets horror, and it was a lot of fun for
100%.
me. Yep.
Yes, I'm a huge fan. I do love both films, but I think I would go with Monster Squad too. Okay, here we go. Speaking of nightmares, nightmares about driving blind or being chased.
Wow.
I've
I don't
I've had
think
I've
I've
had
ever
both, I
had a
think.
nightmare about driving blind. Um,
Oh my gosh, maybe there's something wrong with me.
I don't think I've ever, yeah, I don't think I've ever been blind in any of my nightmares. What are you? Sorry, my dog is chewing on something and I don't know what it is. Rocky, what do you have?
Hmm,
Um, yeah,
hopefully nothing dangerous.
I,
So maybe I'm the only one who has dreams where I'm driving and I can't see and I know I'm about to hit something.
I guess I'll go with being chased just because it's never happened.
Oh, there's your dog.
Yep,
Oh,
there's
okay.
well one of them. There's Rocky. No, I guess I'll go with
Chased.
being
Yeah.
chased just because it's never happened. The driving
Oh,
blind. So I'll go with being
well,
chased because I used to have a reoccurring nightmare of being chased when I was younger by none other than the man right behind you on the knife, Michael Myers.
course, makes sense to me. And maybe if, well, I hope I didn't just plant that idea in your subconscious and you start to have those nightmares again. Um, anyway, let's move on. Fear Footage or Hell House LLC, if you've seen those films.
I'm gonna go with Hell House LLC.
Mm, that clown, right?
It's the combination of the clowns,
Hmm.
the it was just such a great setup
Yeah.
uh with Hell House. It was just so much it I can't say it was weird. It was just so much fun to watch. Like it was like wow,
Yes.
it's like this is something I love the setting. I love the area it was shot in. I
Hmm.
just thought it was just so great.
Yeah.
And if I'm
Fantastic.
not mistaken, I think when I checked out, I think that that actual building was close, about maybe 45 minutes north of where I actually grew up, which was in New York.
Oh, okay.
Um, so I it felt very there was something very nostalgic about it at the same time. So
Yes.
maybe that extra element for me just added to it. But it was just yeah, I
Yeah,
love it.
agreed. And I think the Abaddon Hotel, the actual site where they filmed it, I think that's used as a haunt every year in October.
Okay.
Let's see, daytime or nighttime horror?
I guess you got to go with nighttime, right? It just adds an element to it.
I think so.
Plus
I think we need more daytime horror,
I'm a
but go ahead.
huge vampire movie fan
Mm.
too. So I mean,
Oh,
obviously
cool.
they can only come out at night. So I I
There is
I
that
think I mean
limitation.
it's definitely more challenging. Yeah, it's
Hmm.
definitely more challenging to make a horror movie during the day. But I'm going to go with nighttime. I just prefer the way night looks.
I digress a lot here, but did you see the new Nosferatu and what did you think? If you did,
I just finished it the other night. It took me three sittings,
so it's a
unfortunately.
long, long one.
I yeah, I Beautifully
Thumbs
shot,
up, thumbs
beautiful
down.
looking.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
beautifully shot. Yes.
beautifully shot,
Eh,
beautiful looking. I have a hard time going crazy with criticisms only because I know how hard it is to make a good film. And I certainly,
yes.
have made my mistakes. There's no question about that. So I have a hard time
Mm.
criticizing too much, but it just seemed to me, I mean, if you put it, since we're on this and that, this or that,
Yeah.
since if you put that against Bram Stoker's Dracula, I'm going to choose Bram Stoker's Dracula 1,000
Yes.
times over. So I just,
Yeah.
there was, I can appreciate a slow burn, but for this, it was maybe too dialogue heavy and not enough
Too
happening.
slow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. My just to add on to that, I would say like A plus for atmosphere is very atmospheric, and the mood is was flawless. I love that they used candlelight for the lighting at night
Mm-hmm.
in the rooms. I thought that was very effective. But anyway, we could spend a whole hour talking about that film. Let's move on to the next one. Damien Leone or Ty West? You could say both.
I'm a little partial because I've met Damien.
Oh, okay.
Guy. I I'm gonna go with Damien because of I the character he's created. And actually, my favorite scenes are not the gore scenes. Like my favorite scene so far in the Terrifier franchise, which admittedly I've not seen part 3, is the pizza parlor scene where he's just staring at them. That I thought was so effective. And in the second one, for me, it was the Halloween store scene. Again, when he's making people feel uncomfortable, when he's taunting them a little bit, when he's playing with them. Hitchcock said it best, and it's like the suspense is the scare. The kill is just to let you know that the threat is real. But the suspense is where you get scared.
Is
and
what's scary.
What Damien did with art to build that suspense in the pizza parlor or the Halloween store in the second one, or even the train station when it was the shorts before, it was just that to me is really, really brilliant horror. Building that suspense, making you uncomfortable. And I really give it to Damien on that one.
Yeah, I completely agree. Let's see. I think you'll like the third one. There's one scene that's similar to what you're speaking to. Takes place in a bar. It sort of goes off the rails a little bit, but I'll leave it at that. The first Nightmare on Elm Street or Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors?
Dream Warriors.
I feel good. I'm wearing
Dream
Dream
Warriors.
Shirt.
Yep.
Yes.
I'll tell you what
I agree with that.
Yep. I'll tell you what put it over the edge for me was, well, Dream Warriors was the last one before I felt that the character turned goofy, like too jokey. But what I loved about Dream Warriors, the element of the nun made it so much scarier. Added that extra element. So now you have the fear of falling asleep along with the fear of this great, beautiful, creepy imagery of the nun and her backstory. And it just, Dream Warriors to me, is my favorite one.
Fair enough. Let's see. Spiders or snakes? Kind of a lose-lose there.
Oh, like which, well,
what are you more afraid of?
Afraid of,
nightmares.
More afraid of, I would go with snakes, probably. Okay. But it's so weird because like my friend in high school had a pet snake, and I was fine with it. But if you're talking about being like surrounded, I would probably be. God, you're right. It is a lose-lose, but I'd probably be a little, just a hair more afraid of snakes.
Okay. Let's see. Road trip vacation or jump on a plane?
God, I've done them both so much, and they're so much fun. I guess this is, I know I'm dodging it, but I guess it's kind
Both.
of depends on it depends on the destination.
That's
Um,
true.
so
You can't drive to Mexico. Well, I guess you can
right.
if you go all the way around.
I guess it's gonna have to be. I guess all in all, if gun to my head, I'm going with a plane
Okay.
because
So
I
many more options, right?
yeah, so many more options, and takeoff's one of my favorite things in the world. So yeah, I'm gonna go with a plane.
It's funny you say that because I bet a lot of people would say the takeoff is the scariest part of the trip.
Oh, I love.
Um, let's see. We always end with Jaws or Halloween 78, but I know you'll pick Jaws since we already talked about it. So my last one for you is Urban Legend or Final Destination.
Oh, I'm gonna go with Final Destination, if no better reason. The concept, when I first saw the first one, I was like,
Mhm.
wow, that's actually a really brilliant concept. It's like, okay, death missed you the first time around, so now it's going to do all these things. And I'll tell you, when I first saw the first one, when I first finished it, me
Mhm.
and my girlfriend at the time, we're going way back now, we were like looking around like her apartment, like, well, that could kill us, that could kill us, like all of a sudden
Yeah,
these little household things
little
become these
things.
life-threatening things,
Right,
and it
right.
was just so it stuck
Oh,
with me more.
completely. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and when
Yes, I
something sticks with
agreed.
me more,
Mhm.
I guess I got to give it to that one.
Every time I'm in a hotel room, in the shower, they have like the string that you can, I don't know what you call it, stretch across to hang your clothes on to dry. I
Yep.
always think of Urban Legend when that poor kid um, hangs himself unintentionally in the
Oh,
bathroom.
geez.
Yes. Well, that's it for this or that. Thank you for playing along. That was a lot of fun.
No
And
problem. No problem.
yeah, thank you again for chatting with me today. Congrats on Mr. Sandman. I hope people who are watching this will check out your film. It absolutely deserves to be seen.
Thank you.
Let's see. My last question is, how can folks watch your film? I know it's available on Tubi, but I'll let you expand upon that. And how can folks find you on social media?
Yep, Mr. Sandman is on Tubi. It has the post credits 10 minutes if you choose, if you're into that type of thing of behind the scenes interviews.
Yes,
So you can
I did
watch
watch that.
that. Um, if you're overseas seeing this, it's on YouTube also. That version does not have the post credits thing. That's just the movie. But yeah, so you can watch it presently on Tubi or YouTube. And as far as social media, I pretty much, I think I have all the big name ones, and it's all under Acres Films.
Yes.
X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and this newer one that it's a social media site for horror fans, Slasher. I'm on that as well.
Oh, cool. Yes. Okay. So I'll make sure to put that in the description and I'll put it on the screen. So
Oh, and
I was
YouTube. I'm
watching
sorry. I have a
and
YouTube.
YouTube, of course.
Yeah.
Yes. And I'll even put the link to YouTube in the description for our video. So let's see.
Oh,
If
and
you are,
I'm sorry.
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. One more
No,
thing.
fine.
And
Let's go ahead. Yes.
on my YouTube channel
Mhm.
is one of the shorts that I did, found footage style, the challenge, which seems to get a lot of positive feedback. So if
Oh,
you
awesome.
enjoy
I have not seen
found
it.
footage, yep, you can check out hashtag the challenge. It's on my YouTube channel.
Cool. I will watch it today. I'll
Thank
put that in. Yeah, I'll put a link to that in the description too. So let's see. Just in closing, if you are watching, like and subscribe because it helps our channel. And once again, Matt, thank you so much for chatting with me today. And congrats one last time on Mr. Sandman.
Thank you so much, Aaron. It's been an honor and a pleasure.
Agreed. You're very welcome. Bye, everyone.